What is up, Guff? It is your boy Zach back with another video. That rhymed actually quite nice. Today's video topic is top 2021 bust candidates for fantasy football. So let's jump right in. Now before we do though, how about hitting like and subscribe down below if you are new and you enjoy this content? We are going to be making videos each and every week during the off season to keep you engaged as a viewer and to keep you ready for next season. All right, well, let's go ahead and begin now, okay? So these busts are in no particular order because to me, they're all bust worthy. Okay, well, starting off the list, we have JuJu Smith-Schuster. Big Ben is set to come back next year, which isn't the best thing for JuJu. Sure, their chemistry is good, but with Big Ben in the mix, you'd kind of think that their short field play style is partially due to him. On top of that, Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool are making a statement. They are making a stand for that wide receiver 1 spot. JuJu had the 61st worst air yards among wide receivers and only a 19% target rate. All these arguments are assuming too that JuJu will stay with the Steelers and doesn't go elsewhere in free agency next year. But from some of the logo drama and TikTok stuff and dance things with him this past season, we might not see many teams interested in a wide receiver 2 who might bring issues to a locker room. At best, JuJu will be a wide receiver 2 for you, but based on draft capital, it might be best to just go with a safer option and try to get your wide receiver 2 in a couple of later rounds. Okay, next on our list is widely speculation, but it is Tyler Lockett. Lockett is a great receiver and has huge upside potential any given game. However, on the flip side of that, he does have weak losing potential for any given game as well, as he scored below 10 fantasy points in 10 of his 16 games this past season. To build on top of that, he scored below 8 fantasy points in 7 of those 10 games. Now let's throw in a couple of other factors that we get to look forward to in 2021 too. The Seahawks are apparently shopping around Adam Gase as their offensive coordinator to spice things up for Russell Wilson. Oh gosh, no, please. That's just terrible. And if they decide, hey, let's not do that and be smart, Pete Carroll still voiced that they are going to try and, as much as the fans hate it, next season, going to be more run heavy. These are all bad indicators for Lockett, who plays second fiddle to DK Metcalf at times already. Lockett is still safer than a lot of other options just based on his talent and his QB alone, but don't expect the same numbers as this season in 2021. Okay, now this next one isn't a shocker for most. Let's go to the magical land of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. CEH was drafted as a first-round fantasy prospect in 2020, and boy did he disappoint. He cracked 100 plus rushing yards only twice this past season, and he was minimally used in the receiving game. On top of that, he only had 4 rushing touchdowns. I don't think he will have Le'Veon Bell there to compete with him in carries this next season. But who knows? The Chiefs might have Damian Williams back in the mix to shake things up a bit. And even then, Darrell Williams was somewhat involved at times this past season too. The Chiefs aren't run heavy, and understandably so given that they have Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback, but for someone to not be involved in the passing game and your team to be more pass heavy and not run heavy, I would steer clear of taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire unless it's like as a flex. All right, another busty candidate on our list. It's David Montgomery. Montgomery fared well for you towards the end of the season. He has some of the skill and a lot of the opportunity. However, the majority of his opportunity this season was in large part in the passing game. In 2021, Tariq Cohen will be back in the mix and take away all of that glorious 2-yard reception passing down work that Montgomery saw. The Bears also suffered this season from the best running back schedule in terms of fantasy, and even then couldn't muster up anything on the ground with Montgomery until later half in the season. If the Bears make for like a Deshaun Watson push, then maybe all of this changes and the Bears are all of a sudden like a Super Bowl contender and they're going to be able to utilize Montgomery well, but that's a huge if. I would still be intrigued by the volume Montgomery gets, but with his poor efficiency and Tariq Cohen coming back to take away some of that receiving work, I don't want to take him as high as I think he will likely go due to his end of the season being good. Last name we are going to mention on our list and in this video might come with some controversy. It is Kyler Murray. Now don't get me wrong, I love Murray, but we see this every single freaking year. A QB goes off, then the next season we decide to go against our gut instinct and we say, I'm going to go QB early this season, and then it turns out to be a bust. Look at Lamar Jackson, for instance. He was the QB1 in 2019, so naturally we tell ourselves, I must have him in 2020. So we take him in the second round, and what happens? He doesn't perform the majority of the season except for a couple games at the end, and he's the QB8 for the season. That was a pretty risky move, getting the QB8 in the second round when you could have had something better. We're going to apply the same narrative and the same rule to Kyler Murray for this season. Murray was electric this past 2020 season, being the QB2 overall. Now, he did fall a little bit between weeks 12 through 17, only scoring 20 plus fantasy points one of those weeks. That was also with a harder schedule too, though. But we can take away that a big part of Murray's success was due to his 11 rushing touchdowns and 819 rushing yards. With teams keying in on the rushing QBs such as Lamar Jackson now, it might be harder for Murray to replicate that next season. Now, I don't think he will be a dud this season, but for what his draft capital will be, I think he will be a bust compared to QBs you can get much later on for a better price and just as good of results, if not better. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's video. I think I've made all of my points. Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below if you have not already and you want to see more content like this. But also, be sure to grow up and get guffed.